So a little bit less than 30 minutes ago, a dev blog with Small Impact Games just ended, and said dev blog was hosted on Sterdecki's Twitch channel. There'll be a link down there if you want to go and check him out. But I wanted to do a little wrap up of the topics that were discussed during the dev blog. I wasn't able to catch it. I unfortunately had a meeting right when the dev blog started, but luckily one of the Discord moderators took notes and I went through the entirety of them, and there's a lot of really good information in here. So without further ado, I'm going to get started right now, and there'll be a link to the notes that the moderator was kind enough to take in the description. So the first update is called Health. So regarding quality of life updates, they're looking at crashes pre and instantly when joining a game. So apparently this is an issue for a lot of people, so they're looking into that. They're also looking at crew connectivity issues right now. I've had multiple instances where I have loaded into a game without the rest of my crew. I'm completely alone and everybody else is just in the menus. So I would imagine that is part of what they're looking at. And this is all coming in November. No news on when the update's actually going to be launched. Next, the airlock busy problem. So I'm sure you've run into this before. You go to dock and you are greeted with a message that the airlock you're trying to enter is busy, which means there's somebody on the other side of that. And chances are, as soon as you open it, you might get shot or get into a firefight. So they're increasing the amount of airlocks every raid, and they still want to give the opportunity to rush an airlock, but there's a chance for the person in the airlock. There will be reworked airlocks on Mine and Terraformer, and they're adding new ones to the Navy outpost, and Terraformer is also getting 2 new airlocks in the service tunnels, which is great because it's really easy to rush adjacent airlocks in Terraformer and just get a couple of quick kills like that and rid the map of some of the players. Next, the EM-2 battle rifle getting added. So this is a 5.56 rifle with 20 round magazines. It's going to do 28 damage per shot, no attachments, 500 rounds per minute, and it's going to be available through the SAS operatives or in vaults. Moving on to attachments for weapons. So they say they want 4 to 5 attachments for every gun in the game. Now you might be thinking to yourself, okay, there's a lot of weapons right now that don't have any attachments. They're coming. Hopefully. For most of the weapons, there will be attachments coming. So, for example, in the dev blog, they talked about the Sten and giving it a snail mag, which would increase its magazine capacity to 60, a compensator, a new wooden stock. Iron sights are getting reworked to look a lot cleaner, and they're saying that this redesign is inspired by the prototype Mark I Sten, and that's what gives it the unique diesel punk spin, and they say they're going to continue doing this for weapons across the board. Next, regarding community actions for gameplay. So there's going to be some changes in regards to map cycling changes. So maybe not getting the same maps over and over again. I remember a specific moment where I got Navy Outpost like 13 times in a row. So hopefully that will be happening less and less. Loot distribution to incentivize looting more loots. So that's always good. You always want more loot. There apparently is going to be a new depot in the Navy Outpost. Increase in merchant and capital ship spawn rates, which is great because there are a lot of contracts in the Zero Day Hero quest line that require you to either go to the capital ship or the merchant frigate, and it kind of sucks being stuck because you just aren't getting lucky with the spawn rates. So this will alleviate that issue somewhat. They also mentioned that they didn't notice any hard meta. People are mostly using the weapons that they like. I have seen a lot of people use the MAD 49, but I realized that maybe it's not as many as I thought it was, because I often kill people and they have something like the Sten, the Uzi, the MP40, or any other weapons that are available in Marauders. So there's quite a lot of diversity. They're saying they're adjusting mission requirements somewhat to make them a little bit less difficult, especially some which require things like, I don't know, 10 commando major kills, which is the one that I'm on right now. That one's kind of a pain in the ass, pardon my French, because you have to have the capital ship spawn and you have to get lucky enough to get a commando major to spawn on board. So that's kind of just a time sink, really. So hopefully some of these contracts get reworked or looked at. I'm not so much opposed to having difficult missions, but I'm mostly opposed to those that are just more RNG than anything else. But I digress. They're also looking into adding variation to daily contracts to include the Navy Outpost and the Penal Colony, which is great because these maps, granted they are fun, you don't necessarily have a whole lot of incentive to go into these maps because there's no daily contracts. There are some contracts in the Zero to Hero questline, but they are few and far between. quality of life and anti-cheat. So toggle lean is coming in the next update, which a lot of people have been wanting, and I can completely understand it. I don't use toggle lean personally, but I know a lot of people have been asking me in the streams. I've seen a lot of people talk about it in Discord. I've seen multiple times suggestions come up in the Discord channels as well. So that is coming. FOV slider coming in as well. And there have been 20 waves of bans against cheaters. So minor cheats like exploits can result in a ban. If you abuse them and get flagged, you will get banned. Next, scopes for weapons. So they're planned for testing in the future for semi-auto rifles, but they're not confirmed for November or the future, only in testing, which is interesting because a while back they said they didn't have any plans to implement any scopes or sights of any kind. So this is good that they're trying these things to see how it will affect the balance of the game, especially considering that semi-auto rifles, generally speaking, aren't the best. You don't see them around all that much, so this might give them a little bit more of a boost or an edge over other weapons. There are also a laundry list of community questions that were asked during the dev blog, but I think I might make a separate video for that because I want to go a little bit more into detail and give my thoughts on these things as well, but I don't want to stretch out the video too much, so at least you guys have an idea of what's coming in the next update and what's on Small Impact Games' radar. And then if you guys are interested in what the community had to say and maybe my thoughts on different topics, there'll be another video. But feel free to hop in our community Discord server if you have any questions. I help out a lot of players, specifically for the M1911 government pistols that people can't seem to find. I have some of those to give out if you are in need and can't find them. I'm glad to help out players, new, veterans, whatever it may be. Come hop in the Discord server, and with all that being said, hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.